I'm gonna start by this quote translated in Arabic from Muad Abu Zahir from Gaza. Grieving over my homeland has cost me my whole heart. Thinking a lot about the videos of Ibtihal Abu Saad, who stood up to her boss at Microsoft. Shame on you, Mustafa. I'm also thinking of Virgil Abloh. Virgil Abloh standing up to Kanye in the famous video. Look up Ibtihal Abu Saad. Look up Virgil Abloh. If you've seen the video of Helmi Fakawi, I didn't know anything about who it was before I saw it. And I didn't know that a body moves like that when it's burning, when it's like between life and death. A couple of weeks ago, the 2, maybe 3 kids who were a bundle of hair and flesh and some semblances of a face, so much so that Instagram didn't have the filter to blur it. The inflated body of a child that I had to wait to watch the video to see if this body is dead or screaming in agony, and it was screaming in agony. The images of children losing body parts to mine cobalt. And on the other side of the same continent, the images of children collecting body parts in bags. Our children. Think of how many Mammy Tills, how many Emmett Till moments have been held up against Western lives for a year and a half alone. For Arabs and Africans, and especially I would say Arabs, it's been our whole life, because we've seen Palestinian children sniped on live TV before there was the internet. Let alone with the internet. The rockets fired by the resistance are communication. You need to understand that they know these rockets. They are successful militarily, but not by virtue of what you think. They're successful because they're communication. Even if they have 0 body counts, compared to over 100 a day, on average, sometimes 400 and 700. The Arabic word for prayer, salah, is the same root for communication, for holding the phone. Protest is a form of communication. Song. Armed resistance. Even if the weapon is much weaker, even if it's a knife or if it's a rocket made from shrapnel, it's communication. It's sad that this is a communication that's called violent or hateful. Every scream from Virgil Abloh towards Kanye, from Ibtihal Abu Saad towards Mustafa, was the least hateful thing I've seen in my life. And if they felt some hate towards their own in that moment, that's actually very fucking fair. But you can tell in their screams that there was the most love towards that person by dissociating from that person and screaming exactly why. So another big channel is disconnection as connection. It will happen big time. It'll happen towards family. It'll be a big theme. There will be disconnection as connection from a lot of family members. You've paid your dues. You've paid your dues. Disconnection from eros, from wanting anything to do with tasting food or sexuality. It's very fair. It's very unkind here. There's a billion reasons why Western society is more unkind than most others. Biggest of which is that it assumes to be less unkind. So that leads to less self-reflection. I'm not just talking about white people because it trickles around, even if white bodies benefit from it the most. But I think there's a layer to which we don't understand an American passport as skin, as something you can't take off either. And not having it is something you cannot take off either. It's just in different places. Every time that people have looked at something incredibly heinous happening in their lifetime and said this is exactly like what happened before, they were part of the reason why evil became more innovative. The transatlantic slave trade being more innovative than any form of slavery before in its violence was because people said this is like what happened before at the time. That's a channel and a study. I can't believe the life that I've had, the kind of studies that I've done, grad school, and why I owe so much money. Fuck it. And I regret nothing because I know why exactly what I was being prepared for. I know now, and I know I'm gonna be prepared even more. I'm prepared for this, this connection as connection. And anyone who is so kind towards, for example, some of the biggest slave rebellions in this colony happened from organized Black Muslims. The worst term they had in the Holocaust concentration camps, not this Holocaust, this is worse than that word, because again, this happened before is your participation in making something worse happen than what's before. Even if it happened to your ancestors, you're not seeing your full humanity by seeing that your role in this moment is interconnected, but not one particular moment in history, but a connection of all of them. You're like a constellation. You refuse to see yourself that way, and it's why people, just like a lot of people's ancestors have been tortured for them to exist. Now they're the reason why other people are being tortured. My people. And this applies to a lot of people. Please don't personalize this. And there's no time to mince words. This is it. And there are people who don't need me to. And I'm so grateful for you. The word in the camps of Auschwitz, the worst word, was Musulman, which means Muslim. And it was said about Jews or other minorities who were so emaciated and scared and tortured and traumatized that they just stood there, like they had no fear and no human response. They called them Muslims. So this has been said a lot in Arabic, and I never translated it till now. But I've heard a lot in Arabic that Palestinians saying we refuse to be the West's new slaves. And because of what I studied, because of what I dug into, I felt that would be, especially in what this country is built on, would be like an offense. But you need to realize that this is what's been happening. There's been an invention of a new criteria of dehumanization, and there's people who can't relate to the most lasting one yet, anti-Blackness. So can you believe how they would even relate to a new one forming before their eyes? We're from the part of the world where Africa spread to the rest of the world and became the rest of what the modern world held on to so much by calling the races. So we look like all of them, just hairier with bigger eyes, I guess. Indigenous yet nomadic. And the color that Gaza is being turned into is gray. Funny, out of a West that mythologized any human achievement it can't conceive of as a product of alien grace. There's no metaphor in this. There's no, one day, what people see as metaphor versus reality, or let's be more specific, channeling versus study, science versus, like if you've leaned too much on one form of knowledge, you are screwed now. You are fucking screwed. And you're the reason why people are screwed. And that sounds so harsh, but you need to say it in the mirror. I have become death, destroyer of worlds. There's a part of that face that Oppenheimer made in every single Westerner life, including a Westerner life that is Arab. We need to realize that. I had an experience where myself and a coworker at the start of this new job stood up to someone in very different ways. And I admired how she stood up 10 times more than the way I did. And it was normally how I stood up. But I felt like I'm not really on the brink of being homeless, but the thing before that. So starving, I have been hungry a lot the past 2 years. I've made a lot of sacrifices to be part of this family. I'm not gonna say the human family because I don't aspire to be that word anymore. But living beings, this planet, and being part of like immediate, timeline family. And I'm ready for this connection as connection. It's been happening more and more, but it's like, that's, there's no more education left in me. This is it. There's no more education left in the world. This is it. And this is the moment when things change, because this is the moment when, just like evil mutated, we mutate too. So mutate, wake up, make it your responsibility to wake up before you make it your responsibility to wake others up. Some of y'all are waking others up through methods that are not working, because waking others up is, and by the methods that are not working, is protecting you from the complete shattering of waking up. Wake up, understand what that means in your own way, let go of what needs to be let go of. Some people are becoming more erotic because there was someone that they are lightning rods for each other of a semblance of sanity in this world. Some others like me are shutting down. I have no eros left in me because I don't feel others with that vibration of body around me, so I'm happily shutting down. Stop forcing people, especially the closer they are to being impacted by this, to be anything for you or anything with you or anything that you want to do for them. That applies to me towards people who are closer to Gaza. That should apply to other people in my life. We need to treat each other that way. The one, I will say, this is not channel, this is personal experience. And I've worked a lot on myself, and I've had bullshit to me. I had a lot of bullshit in me that I've been working on, that I will work on until the day I die. Astaghfirullah azim ya Rab. But the one thing in this entire, past however handful of years that has been my saving grace is that I lived a life of what the West erroneously calls solidarity. So I'm very clear when I'm not receiving it and when I'm receiving it. Because I lived a life of staring things in the eye, of putting my body there as much as I could. And the increased, the more bullshit I let go of. And it's gonna keep going there. The more that you have integrity with your timeline and all that's come before it and all that can come after it, the more you don't need even your community to affirm what you know is gonna be their highest dignity anymore. The more you're not looking for being alone or being in community anymore, like the more you're just with truth and with justice. And you're very content with what that brings and doesn't bring. And that's probably when you're gonna bring the most outward and inward non-dually. So you might even have the most that you've ever had in your life while giving the most you've ever given in your life, when you thought these two things were opposite. Keep waking up.